Next month, a new District 13 congressman will be sworn in to try and fill the shoes of a Texas congressional pioneer.
Yeah, Representative Mac Thornberry announced his retirement in September 2019 after a quarter century of dedication to his district. Photojournalist Brandon Cooper and I sat down with local leaders and the congressman's colleagues, and in an in-depth special report tonight, they reflect on the past 26 years.
I had no clue that I would ever be here this long.
The year is 1995. Mac Thornberry, a lawyer and cattle businessman from Clarendon, is making his way to Capitol Hill. The freshman congressman arriving in Washington in a history-making year.
The biggest surprise was that Republicans became a majority for the first time in 40 years when I was first elected, and nobody ever thought that was even possible.
Thornberry ran for re-election 2 years later, then again and again. 12 more campaigns, 12 more victories.
A local elected person, there's a lot of demands placed on your time and on your family. Multiply whatever that is locally by 100 and you take on someone in Congress.
Wichita County Judge Woody Gossam will never forget the day Thornberry knocked on his door. The first-time candidate spent that Saturday afternoon campaigning with his wife. He knocked on Gossam's door, and the two couples got to know one another over a glass of tea.
There are no heirs around Mac Thornberry or Sally or their children.
7 years later, 9/11 happened. Thornberry had just wrapped up breakfast at the Pentagon with Donald Rumsfeld, then Secretary of Defense, when the third plane hit the Pentagon.
That was not only a dramatic event, but it really changed so much when it comes to national security and the way in our daily lives.
He dedicated his time in Washington to national and domestic defense.
Justice for all.
But looking back to him, it's not so much about threats outside of our nation.
People ask me, okay, what keeps you up at night? Well, it's not the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the terrorists, or anybody else. The only thing that keeps me up at night are the decisions that we make for ourselves. And the only ones who can defeat America are Americans.
It's his way of holding true to his character and the interests of his district that impresses District 69 State Representative James Frank.
Obviously, he was a politician, but he seemed to be above that. He didn't get into some of the partisan yelling and screaming and just seemed to always keep it on a classy level, yet was also effective at getting things done.
That trait didn't just capture the attention of Texas state leaders, it turned heads on Capitol Hill. It led him to the top spot on the House Armed Services Committee, a first for a Texan.
Do everything you can to keep it bipartisan, because if our troops are out on a ship somewhere or out in the desert, out on a hill, they don't really care, or it doesn't matter to them who's Republican, who's Democrat. They want to know that Congress has their back.
That was an exciting time.
Sandra Ross spent 12 years in this office, the Wichita Falls native. Thornberry's eyes and ears in District 13.
The people that live here know who I am. I live with them. I'm in the same community. We have the same concerns and values. So I think it's a lot easier when you have staff that are from the area because they know who they're talking to.
Ross left her job of 18 years to take a chance working for the congressman and for the people of a district she's called home all her life.
Anything that had to do with protecting our soldiers, taking care of their families, those are the things that he really is most proud of. And I think it's been fun for us to watch that.
Wichita Falls, known locally for its traditions, its revitalization of downtown, and its history. But one thing is top of mind, both for people here and for the former chairman of the House Armed Services Committee.
It's hard to think about Mac without thinking about his influence on Shepherd.
He never lost sight of that.
He was always very, very mindful of Shepherd and protecting Shepherd, against another background or against any other changes that we might have.
He's just been a tireless supporter of not only the 13th Congressional District here in Texas, but Shepherd Air Force Base in particular.
As president of the Shepherd Military Affairs Committee and former Wichita Falls mayor, Glenn Barham has witnessed Thornberry's influence on Shepherd firsthand. 3 key decisions stand out.
Last fiscal year, Shepherd received over $200 million for infrastructure improvements. In the 2010-2012 time frame, through the National Defense Authorization Acts for those 3 years, Congressman Thornberry introduced statutory language that ultimately allowed Romania to become a member of the Euro-NATO Joint Jet Pilot Training Program. And Romania They now have instructors and students participating right here at Shepherd. Again, through the National Defense Authorization Act, Congressman Thornberry played a key role in mitigating the impact of wind farm development on military operations.
2.5 decades in Washington with a lifetime of lessons. One sticking for Thornberry. At the end of the day, it's not about who is red and who is blue.
Politics has changed a lot, and particularly these days where getting things done is not necessarily the highest priority. And so I think it's time for me to move on to do something else for a host of reasons, including the way that politics has changed.
In a changing political environment, and after 26 years, this congressman takes his last vote on the Hill and a final yield in the House chambers.
A strong vote will show the troops that we support them. A strong vote will show the adversaries that we can stand together to support this nation. And that is what this bill is really all about. I yield back.
Now, Thornberry says he's just not sure what he wants to do next. All he knows is that he does want to work and finds it highly unlikely he'd run for another office ever again. He says his proudest accomplishment is if the people he works for thinks he's done his best to represent their interest and our country's interest. Now, Ronnie Jackson will serve as the next congressman for District 13.